The final stage is staring down at the competitors ominously. This only means one thing. Robloxian SASUKE 2 has begun. Last tournament, no one was successful in their attempts to take down the tower, but now 100 new athletes begin the quest once again. And the first of those is standing behind the starting block now. Donning number 1 in the run order is Brando_4433, who many will definitely notice. He's put up some good results in other competitions, with the most notable being in Spartan SASUKE 23, where he reached the second stage. Those skills cannot be overlooked, and as the first runner, he needs to be able to guide the 99 that follow him. The starting horns have returned and are counting down to when he's able to go, which is now. The second tournament of Robloxian SASUKE is underway. His first obstacle to tackle is the quintuple steps, which he's been able to do very quickly. Now on to the next obstacle, the silk slider. This obstacle is one of the most feared last time, and it's even harder today, and he sticks the dismount with a bit of lag, but he's able to land on that small platform without an issue. And with that, we get our first look at the new third obstacle, Whirlpool. Cannot be underestimated whatsoever. He's got to have perfect timing if he stands even a slimmer of a chance of beating this first stage. Looks like he's trying to find the best time to release off of this first spinner, but looks like he's just continuously going back and forth, just not being able to seem the most comfortable on this obstacle. He almost goes for it there, but he psychs himself out of it at the last possible second. 30 seconds remain on the clock. Brando is not in a good situation, and he courses out! Brando tries to go back to the starting platform, but instead goes underneath and disqualifies himself. A promising start on the first two obstacles translates into disaster on the third, as all hopes for a second stage visit ends before he even reaches the second cyclone. On the starting line right now in a very unique attire is Joshi1704. He's put up a bit of a name for himself before the tournament began by reaching the second stage in the minis. Obviously, this is a competition setting, and with that it's brought a lot more nerves. So hopefully Josh doesn't get in his head before this run. He's off and onto the quintuple steps, looking like he's going to be using that sideways technique that was so successful for many last tournament and also successful for him. The Dread Silk Slider is up next and cannot be glanced over. You must put all of your effort into this obstacle. Sliding down onto the dismount platform, he completely stuck that pad and didn't even slide at all, and we're getting our second look at Whirlpool. Hopefully by watching Brando's less than stellar attempt, Josh can right his wrongs and get through. Looking like he's found his rhythm and has successfully landed that second cyclone, working his way around it, going onto the third with perfect timing. Dismount remains and he's got that too. Now he's onto the swinging forest, the first today to take it on. Since his appearance last time, it took out many in Sasuke Dynamite and plans to continue that trend here, and it does! Josh just barely undershoots that fourth rope of the obstacle, simply did not get enough swing to bridge that gap, and he's out. The next to take on the course is the first returning competitor of the tournament, O_transition, otherwise known as Jessica. Jessica's standout moment last tournament was beating the first obstacle, which sparked quite the reaction from her. While she went down soon after, Jessica believes that this tournament she can conquer it. Her 75-second attack on the first stage is soon to be here, and now it is. Stepping up to the quintuple steps, last tournament she used the forward technique and that almost caused the end of her run, but it looks like today she's using the sideways technique, which is so far proving to be very effective. Coming up on the last set before she has a dismount, and she makes it through and now has a rematch with her nemesis. This obstacle has been made harder since last tournament. She's sliding down and she gets it! Jessica has now put on a personal best performance and is now the third today to reach Whirlpool. This obstacle has a 50% clear rate so far. She'll either make it a 66% fail or clear rate depending on how she does. She's making her way well through this obstacle so far, approaching this third spinner. She's able to get it here if she wants to. There's enough time on the clock, however she misses it there. It's a slow turnaround to get back. She's able to get on it here, and now just the dismount remains until the swinging force, and she misses it! An abstract way to fail. Jessica jumps too early and ends up missing the dismount of the obstacle just barely. And that fail is surprising. Never would have expected that from her. Last tournament, 100 competitors stepped up to face the 4 stages of Robloxian SASUKE. All believed that they had what it took to do so, but every single competitor was struck down before the final stage, closing the tournament off with no victor. As time passes, however, the course only gets harder. This year, more hopefuls than ever take on a newer course, with the road to the final stage being the hardest it's ever been. 1,000 Robux are on the line. Can anyone do the unthinkable? They've got one shot, one goal, and one dream. The ultimate survival attack returns. It's time for Robloxian SASUKE Tournament 2. Hello everyone, my name is Jamie Dorino, and welcome one and all to the second tournament of Robloxian SASUKE. Today, we start back from square one as all 100 competitors begin their journey once again to Kanzen Seiha. Last tournament, Flotos battled his way to the final jump of the third stage, but he unfortunately came up short. While he's not running today, many notable people in the Roblox ninja scene are. One of them that caught my eye is Square Aswell09. A community veteran for years, Square has decided to end off his career with this competition. After falling early last time, we know that he is looking for redemption. However, will he end off his career with a victory or a defeat? Only time will tell. Someone who could be considered the biggest name on the board for today, Famalam, will be capping off the episode. He's one of the three to reach the final stage in the latest Ninja Warrior of Roblox tournament. A skilled athlete all around and a proven champion of other courses, how will he fare against this one? Those two and everyone else yet to run today will attempt the same course as always. It's already dealt some damage, it's the first stage. All competitors are starting off on the first stage where the rules are simple. Beat the course by whatever means possible or you're eliminated. The course starts off with the quintuple steps. Similar at first glance, competitors must jump at the edge of each step to reach the next before attempting the extended dismount. After that is the silk slider, which is no easy feat. Grab onto the silk and ride it down to the bottom where a small landing platform awaits. The next obstacle is the only new one of the stage, Whirlpool. The obstacle consists of 3 spinning platforms competitors must run across before trying to time their release to the succeeding one. Beat that and you're onto the swinging forest, 5 sets of ropes that must be swung to make a path to the end of the obstacle. This obstacle did much damage last time and it's even harder today. You're through that and onto the Sori Tatsukabe, whose stopper at the top has been decreased from 4 to 3 seconds, making it even harder to beat that wall. The final 2 obstacles remain unchanged, starting off with the Tarzan rope, where all it takes to fall off is a bad positioning on the rope once it drops. And then the Tarzan Nabori. Scale the rope to the top of the tower and hit the button within the demanding 75-second time limit and you're through to the next part of the competition. And if you don't, then you're eliminated. Wearing number 4 in the run order is Wolfman Fire 8. Not that much can be said for this guy, not really someone with that much of a name. He's onto the quintuple steps now, and it looks like he's going to go forward on this. That's not really the best strategies. You can really undershoot a step, and that's exactly what ended up happening. Wolfman Fire is out less than 10 seconds into his run, becoming the first to fall victim to the quintuple steps. Better luck next time. Up next to run is someone who is more well known, PooLover12345. With a username like that, you think that he's someone who's not over the age of 7. I can confirm that he is, and he has a lot of potential within this competition. He's been given the nickname of Tons, which I will be using instead of PooLover because let's face it, that's a lot better of a name. He's had strong runs elsewhere, looking like that will definitely be beneficiary to him as he's already through the first 2 obstacles without any major complications. Whirlpool, however, can have the word complication be used as a way to describe it. You have to go through the entire obstacle with some form of strategy to make sure that you don't get wet. And it appears that Tons has a plan in motion and is executing it very well. The second spinner, he's through that, and now just the dismount remains that eliminated Jessica, and he's through that as well. Now onto the swinging forest. Every part of this obstacle has been made harder, starting here with the mount, which he's got lining up. He's now pushing his way through this obstacle very quickly and onto the dismount. Now onto the Sori Tatsukabe. He's going to up it with 24 seconds left. Well, he gets it up in 1. Can we see just the 5th runner beat the first stage? No! Tons veers too far to the right on the Tarzan rope and ends up falling off. It's a tough way to go out, but this only emphasizes how reaching this point in the stage does not guarantee that you're out of the woods. The next competitor to attempt the first stage is another competitor returning from last tournament. It's Corrupted_Warlord. Corrupt has been present for nearly every run in the competition's history. However, last time he was undone by the Silk Slider. He's put in enough practice to improve himself on it, yet no one will really know how he'll do on it until his actual run. The quintuple steps are not a given, but you wouldn't know that from watching this run off that final step efficiently and past the obstacle. It was simply a roadblock, but now he's to the Silk Slider. Gripped it, gotta time this dismount perfectly, and he's got it! On that landing platform less than a second, he's now on to the third obstacle. Sizing up this third obstacle, quarter bridge no more, onto this first cyclone, waiting for the perfect time to release off of it, and he's found it. All these cyclones ascend, making this obstacle even harder, but he's quickly onto that final cyclone and onto the dismount, but he misses it! Corrupt, in a similar way to Jessica earlier, has come undone by the Whirlpool's dismount. And that is shocking, a failure from Corrupt, and he's out. Hopefully our 7th competitor will not make it a 3rd failure out of 6 attempts on the Whirlpool. It's Misty Fungirl 91. Misty has yet to run many Roblox Ninja Warrior competitions. In fact, this is only her 2nd time competing. Despite this, Misty has shown that she has a lot of potential as she reached the swinging forest last time before going down. That countdown signals when to start the run, which is now. Quintuple steps are up first. Some of her friends who ran last tournament went down here, but she didn't, and it looks like she's going to continue that trend today. She's on to the silk slider. Stepping up to the silk slider after a bit of a pause, she's now onto the dismount, and she stuck that as well for the 2nd tournament in a row, and now onto Whirlpool. This is the only obstacle standing between her and a rematch with the swinging forest with a little under 50 seconds left on the clock. It's always important to keep moving on this obstacle and this course in general, or else the time will come back to get you later. However, it looks like she's putting on a great pace so far. She's approaching the end of Whirlpool, and she's stuck the dismount as well. Now she's on to the swinging forest, the obstacle that she failed last tournament. As you can see in the bottom right, Misty reached here last time, but caught up halfway through. Tried to prevent that from happening again. That's exactly what she did. Misty breaks through the swinging forest and has reached the 2nd half of the stage, but she is not out of the woods yet. Doesn't get up the Sori Tatsuke in a first attempt. She has to get it here or she'll stand no chance of clearing, and she's up. You have to know where to stand on the Tarzan rope. Misty does, and she survives the drop. Only the Tarzan Abori is left for Misty to complete, but here comes the klaxon. She's climbing through, and she makes it. With a little under 5 seconds remaining, Misty becomes the first competitor to complete the first stage this tournament. Standing over the course, she has done it. If we look back on her run, while she wasn't the fastest, she was able to stay composed throughout her entire run. Didn't trip up on the silk slider or come up short of the Whirlpool's dismount. Misty was able to reach the swinging forest and beat the obstacle that eliminated her last time. On the Sori Tatsuke, despite missing the top on her first attempt, she was able to get it on her 2nd, and her getting up there resulted in her reaching the top of the Tarzan Abori with just enough time to hit the button and advance onward. As you can see, Misty is very proud to be advancing to the next stage of the competition, and it's up to everyone else in this tournament to use this run to benefit her to join her. She's set the example for everyone else to follow, and she'll be trying to continue the streak of victory into the remaining 3 stages of the competition. Congratulations, Misty, you're moving on. Just a Person is the first run since Misty cleared, and he's already onto the swinging forest. This mount is very tricky as he's lining up for it, and he's able to get onto it just barely, twisting his body around, but he comes up short of the 3rd set of ropes, and he becomes the first person to fail this obstacle this tournament. Cheese VIP returns to number 9 yet again as he comes face to face with the obstacle that he failed last time. Approaching the dismount, and he slips off. Looks like he had it, but unfortunately lost his balance and slid off the front of the landing platform. Alalin in the book, Sass has a lot of potential as he's made it far in many competitions before the tournament, but anything can happen when the pressure is on and he overshoots the dismount of the silk slider. Promising competitor becomes the 2nd in a row eliminated by this obstacle. 10 competitors into the tournament and a varying amount of success later, we reach our next competitor to run the first stage. The next competitor to run the first stage is Galactic Says Hi. Galactic is the host of Sasuke Craft, a Minecraft Ninja Warrior series that ran for 6 tournaments initially. Recently, it was restarted and now is going into its 4th tournament in its new era. Roblox-wise, Galactic's strongest run came in Rising Ninja Warrior Tournament 4, where he was able to easily defeat both the 1st and 2nd stages to reach the 3rd stage in his first ever competition. While he came up short on the first obstacle, the fact that he reached that point is very impressive within itself and shows that he is a very formidable threat when it comes for him to compete. Last tournament, however, Galactic would unfortunately fall on the swinging forest like many other Roblox Ninja veterans, entering this tournament with a goal to defeat it. We know that he has a lot of potential, and now it's time for him to put it on display this tournament as his run begins now. A little bit of a dance before he's on that starting line. He's now on the quintuple steps. He's taking a lot of time on each of these steps, really trying to line himself up on each. Slowly but surely, he's making progress, going really high up on this dismount, but he's through. 15 seconds are already gone as he's only onto the second obstacle. Taking a long while to get onto this silk, but he's working his way down the obstacle, sticking the landing perfectly, and now onto Whirlpool. He's now regenerating this obstacle. He's going on to the... Oh, no, he's not. Galactic must have had a bad feeling about it and went back, but this only continues to make his remaining time smaller and smaller. Working his way through the first cyclone and approaching the second, he's now on the second with a little bit of lag as he's going to the third. Doesn't go for it there. It looks like he's going to have another opportunity here to go for it with a bit more lag, and he goes for it here. Now just a dismount remains. He's got that as well, but look at the time that's remaining. Galactic only has 21 seconds on the clock, and he still has 4 obstacles to complete. Here comes the Swinging Forest, the obstacle that he failed last time. Navigating his way through this obstacle very quickly. However, it's not going to be quick enough to get through this stage. He's through the obstacle, but with 10 seconds left, time is not looking good for him. Galactic, he gets up it on one attempt, but this will not be enough time for Galactic to make it unless he goes up insanely quickly through this obstacle. Tarzan Nabori, it's not going to be enough. As Galactic says hi, time's out, almost at the top of the first stage tower. Galactic was a victim of his own nerves, taking way too much time on the first few obstacles to ensure that he would reach the Swinging Forest, and that ultimately cost him in the end. While he was able to defeat the obstacle with perfect strategy, it ultimately wasn't enough to ensure his victory against this first stage. Getting up the Soritatsuka Bay helped him immensely, but that final climb up that rope was too slow to get him a ticket into the second stage. He's now on the top, just finding out that he didn't make it, and he's very clearly distraught about it. For the first time, we've had someone run out of time on the first stage, and it's someone who very clearly could have made it through. Hopefully next time, Galactic will be able to, but for now, he's out on the first stage. Up next on the first stage is probably the most well-known to run so far. It's Roblox Polish Player 4. A Roblox Ninja veteran for many years, Polish is a very skilled competitor and has had many top-tier results over the years. However, Polish usually runs courses in a there's the bunny outfit. Didn't think he was going to run in it for a second, but nevertheless, here goes his run. Onto the quintuple steps, jumping onto that second step, but he misses it! Polish is out on just the second jump of the tournament! He was just barely able to grab onto it, but he wasn't far enough onto the edge of the previous step, and that means he came up short. The next to run the course is Penguin is Poggers, who is actually the brother of the real Bashback 1, who will be running later in the tournament. Bash is a very well-known figure in the community. How will Penguin fare today on this course? His run has begun, he's onto the quintuple steps. We just saw Polish fail this obstacle, and Penguin does the same thing too! Penguin has a very similar fail to Polish, however this time it's just one jump later on this course, and it doesn't even look like he's surprised that he's out. Jake Jr. 1614 is the next to run the course, and he's wearing a similar outfit to what Flotus wore last tournament, just with an added paper hat. Hopefully that means a deep run from Jake is underway as his run begins. Onto the quintuple steps, he says that he's in danger, and it looks like that is a reality. Jake just failed it, and he also leaves the game as well, becoming the third person in a row to fail that obstacle. The 15th to run the first stage this tournament is someone I'm sure you'll recognize. It's Alpha VR370, the host of Alpha Ninja Warrior. His competition is one of the most successful Roblox Ninja competitions of all time, but his skill has not had the same accolades. Last tournament, Alpha would shockingly go down on the quintuple steps, and he's trying not to have the same result here. He just saw 3 people go down on this obstacle before him, so you know it's gotta be in his head now, but he's through it! Alpha has defeated the first obstacle and has broken the streak of failures before him. However, he's got many hard obstacles in front of him, like the silk slider. Alpha overshoots the dismount, but you know that he was happy that he was able to take his revenge on the quintuple steps. B-Place 77 YouTube is now facing the obstacle that eliminated him last time, the silk slider. Sliding down this track, he's got to time this dismount right, but he doesn't. Evan completely misses the landing platform and is out yet again on the same obstacle. The host of Hello's Ninja Warrior, Hello Smello, is on the course. The next to face is Silk Slider. He's got himself onto that silk, but he may be a bit too far back, and he is, and he catches the stun! Hello Smello becomes the first to slide off the start of the silk slider, and that is it for his run. If you stand too close to the edge of the silk slider, it will not carry you once it starts to move, and that's exactly what happened here. Joe Cool Turkey, better known as Morpeko Boy, never found success in Dropske. Hopefully today he can change. He's making his way through the quintuple step, but he misses the 4th step. Well, more accurately, he walks off the 4th step, and that means that he is out now. Up next to run the first stage is an up-and-coming competitor in the community, Lyrical Wonders. Lyric is known for making many recreations of real-life ninja shows. However, recently he's garnered some attention for his runs in some other competitions. He's gotten close to beating the first stage in some competitions, and in others like Yasuke and Steel Castle, he's been able to reach the 2nd stage. With his skill, he can very well do so here, but with Polish and Galactic going down, nothing is set in stone. Sliding down this silk slider, coming up onto this dismount, he gets it just barely. Oh, and he almost slips off again. 2 close calls there on the silk slider, but he's able to recover nicely and is now onto Whirlpool. 3 cyclones where timing is everything, regenerating the obstacle and now going into it. Now he's onto the 2nd cyclone and making his way around, going for the 3rd on the perfect cycle. He opts to go a bit early, and thankfully it works out in his favor as he's now onto the swinging forest. The mount of this obstacle cannot be overlooked, and while he did it fast, he lined himself up perfectly, and now he's on to the swinging forest. Taking a bit of time so far as he's nearing the end of this obstacle, having a bit of problems there on the dismount, but he's through it regardless and is now the next competitor to make it onto the Soritatsuke. He scales it in 1 attempt. Lyric can now focus on becoming the 2nd clear of the tournament, perfect down on the drop down to the Tarzan Nabori. He's climbing fast as the summit grows nearer and nearer, and Lyrical Wonders becomes the 2nd competitor this tournament to punch their ticket into the 2nd stage of the competition. That's clear number 2, and that is great for him, and here comes Yas to help them celebrate. Lyric is moving on. 12 seconds left on the clock. His run was flawless. Lyric maintained a steady rhythm throughout his entire run. Everything seemed planned, even when he got hung up on the silk slider, he recovered perfectly. Getting up the Soritatsuke in 1 attempt allowed for no panic to not set in going into the final 2 obstacles, and this all culminated into his 1st stage finish. Still partying at the top of the 1st stage tower, you can see how relieved he is to be advancing. Lyric can now add Robloxian SASUKE onto the list of 1st stages that he has cleared. Well done to him as he is standing on top of the 1st stage tower. Up next is the 20th competitor to take on the 1st stage. It's Wolfiek 3T. He has a pretty basic avatar, very clearly new to the Roblox Ninja community. Newcomer in the competition, he is here to show what he's made of and make a name for himself. His 75-second attack is soon to come. Seems like he is very excited to do his run. He's onto the course and approaching the 1st obstacle. Oh, wow! Wolfiek somehow misses the jump onto the starting platform, doesn't even reach the 1st step. And that's the earliest anyone has ever failed. And you could tell that he did not see that coming whatsoever, and neither did the crowd. The next competitor to run the 1st stage is JIPG Productions YouTube. JIPG has been in the community for a while and hosts a competition known as G-Ske. However, he hasn't formed a name for himself other than that. He's been very excited to get a run-in for this tournament, and he thinks that he'll do well. Well, we're about to find out how he'll do as his run begins. Already into the 2nd step, it is now moving through the rest of the obstacle without many problems. Coming up on this dismount, he's through that and now onto the silk slider. This obstacle took out many competitors last time, and its increased difficulty this tournament only intends for the fail rate to be higher, and it does now that JIPG joins the list as silk slider fails, just barely missing the landing platform. With his fail goes his dream to complete the 4th obstacle and ends his run for the tournament, and he's pretty shocked. The next competitor is someone who you may remember from the 1st tournament. It's Captain Boys Hineyham. Captain's run last tournament was very notable as he was one of the 2 competitors who disqualified themselves on the 1st obstacle by skipping a step of the quintuple steps. Now he's back to right his wrongs and put in a much better performance. Now here he goes onto the course, approaching the quintuple steps. He's on that 1st step, really taking a long time to line up that 1st transition. As we saw with Galactic, taking your time on this obstacle can prove to be detrimental to your run by the time you reach the 2nd half of the stage. On this dismount, he's got that dismount and landed it. Captain is now on the silk slider, wasting no time whatsoever getting into it. The dismount waits for him to land on it, but he stays on the silk for too long. Captain completely overshoots the landing platform, but at least he was able to reach this point of the competition regardless. Up next to run, currently standing behind the starting line, is Augustusai. August has been in the community for multiple years, however, he's never had a performance that's truly stood out. He's gotten close to clearing, the most notable being in Sasuke Dynamite 4 when he failed the final jump of the first stage. August is more than capable of clearing, he just needs to get lucky. Onto his run now, August is using a good technique as he works his way through the steps. He's now making his way onto that fourth step and onto the dismount, and he stuck that and now onto the silk slider. The last two competitors have gone down here. Will August make it 3 fails in a row? Sliding down, he almost makes it 3. August just somehow grabs the bottom of the landing platform and stays alive, and he just keeps going. His heart has to be racing. I have no idea how he managed to pull that off. Nevertheless, he's onto Whirlpool, and he misses the transition to the second Cyclone. August's amazing run ends on the third obstacle, but it's a miracle that it didn't end before then. He said he knew that this was coming, but it easily could have been prevented if he released a second earlier than that. Sadly, this means that he's out. Shum Lover, better known as Zoo, is making his Roblox Ninja debut with this run. He's been on Whirlpool for a very long time, doesn't really know how to do this obstacle properly, and he's down! Simply did not have a good strategy nor execution going into this run, and that meant disaster when he reached this point. Golden Canadian went down very early last tournament and is now looking for revenge. He successfully beat in his previous performance, but now with the silk slider in front of him, all he's gotta do is land on this landing platform, and he has. Now, oh no! Golden somehow falls off the landing platform despite having a clear landing on it. What went wrong? FaZe IOP12 is a very unknown name in the community with fears regarding Whirlpool, but before that he's gotta face the quintuple steps. Walking up towards them now, he is not using the best strategy. However, it's working out for him until now. FaZe misses the third step and he's out. The next competitor to run is making his final appearance on a Roblox Ninja Warrior course today. That person is Square Aswell09, the 27th to run the first stage. Square has been in the community for a very long time and has recently been picking up in skill, making it to the second stage in both of the previous 2 Balloon Ninja Warrior tournaments. He's also reached the second stage in other competitions, but he's yet to break through and advance to the third. In Rising Ninja Warrior, he failed the third obstacle of the second stage twice in a row in the last jump of the first stage once, with similar results recurring elsewhere. However, last tournament, Square would fall victim to himself as he walked off the landing platform of the silk slider in a lapse of judgment. Prior to his run this tournament, he announced that he would be leaving the Roblox Ninja Warrior community, making this tournament his final run. He's put in a large amount of practice. Hopefully it will all culminate in one last triumph rather than a defeat. Square, I mean, what else can I say? He's been here for forever, and it's such a shame to see it end here. Now more than ever would be the best time to execute. If it wasn't for him walking off the platform last time, he would have definitely been able to join the group of first stage finishers. However, it wasn't meant to be. Striding through the quintuple steps, he's met with the silk slider, and he knows what he has to accomplish. Here we go, Square versus the silk slider. Can he make this landing? He can! Now he just has to walk in the right direction, and he does! Square has defeated the silk slider, and you can tell that he's ecstatic about that. Now it's all just about clearing. Whirlpool can eat up a lot of time, but he's found himself on a good cycle. Nice transition, working his way around the second cyclone, and on a good path towards the third, and he's got it. Slowly rotating to the dismount, don't underestimate it, and he doesn't. Square has one of the fastest paces going into the swinging forest. He's able to take his time, but it looks like he's choosing not to, absolutely blazing his way through this obstacle insanely fast, although he did take some time there on that fourth set. That means nothing as he's onto the Soritatsuka Bay. Can he scale it in one? He cannot turn back on his first attempt. Square still has a few more attempts to make it through, but he gets up it on his second and goes straight into the Tarzan rope as well. Time is a non-entity by this point. Square just needs to focus on not making a horrible mistake. He's climbing this rope to the top. Square continues his last stand into the second stage in an absolutely dominant run, and he is making it through to the second stage. An amazing run all around. Square is the third to punch his ticket through to the second stage. His final run in RNW thankfully won't end here. Square will get one last chance to defeat the second stage later on. The next competitor to run the first stage is a very well-known figure in the online ninja community, just here for Joshua, better known as Kane Not Kazuki. The owner of a YouTube channel of the same name, member of the Sasuke Nerds, and also the owner of the biggest ninja Discord server, Kane's influence is felt throughout the entire ninja community. Last tournament, Kane went down almost instantly when he missed the second quintuple step, but he's grown a lot and improved a lot as well, and he's more than capable of being it now. After being hyped up by Kane Kate is now onto his run, and he's beaten the first jump of the obstacle. Now lining up for the third step, and he's got that as well. One more step is left for Kane until it's redemption. He's got that final step and is now preparing the dismount, and Kane has beaten the first obstacle and is now advanced into uncharted territory. Kane has done the unthinkable of beating the first obstacle, and he's very excited about it. Just 50 seconds remain on the clock, so he needs to keep moving. He failed this obstacle in Sasuke Dynamite, so beating this could mean that he gets redemption. Now moving on the silk, but he falls off. Kane goes down by walking off the silk. A unique fail indeed, but Kane was able to accomplish his goal, and he is still very happy about his results. Maybe next time he can even beat the silk slider as well. Who truly knows in this time of ninja? Up next to run is Rachel2Flubber03, better known as Totally Normal. He's yet to make that much of a name for himself despite being known in the community, and his previous run didn't help. In that run, he failed this jump right here, this jump to the second step, but Totally Normal is able to get his revenge, and he's able to make it to the end of this obstacle and clear it. Totally Normal has employed a much better strategy and is now onto the silk slider. He's got to lean on this dismount platform, but he undershoots it, somehow managing to just not even touch it at all. If he was even a fraction of a section later, he would have made it, but he's not, and that unfortunately means that he's out. The next competitor has been out of the spotlight for years, but has returned and is ready to make an impact. Famalam is an incredibly skilled competitor, but without that much of a resume. Recently, Fam gained notoriety for being one of the 3 competitors to reach the final stage in Ninja Warrior of Roblox Rising's 3rd tournament. However, he would not end up achieving Kanzen Seiha after timing up on the 2nd obstacle. In 2019, Fam competed in the 8th tournament of Phoenix's Roblox Ninja Warrior and did not disappoint, swiftly defeating every obstacle in his way to beat all 4 stages on just his first attempt at the course. While he never reached those highs again there, he consistently put up good results until the competition went under in 2021 and Famalam took a hiatus from competing in R&W competitions. It's been 2 years since we heard from him, and he's come back with a bang. His skill has only increased since his heyday 4 years ago, and now he plans to extend his dominance onto Robloxian SASUKE. We know how talented this competitor is, and it's insane that he took a 2-year break from competing and came back stronger than when he left it. The countdown signals it's time to go, and Famalam is off. Quintuple steps have provided many shocking failures today. Doesn't look like he'll be one of them as he defeats the obstacle and is on to the next. Silk Slider can end your run in an instant, and we've seen a variety of fails today on it, but Fam almost joins them! He was too far back on the Silk Slider, but thankfully realized what was going on and avoided a disaster from happening. Through the landing and through the obstacle as well, Fam advances onto Whirlpool. Regenerating the obstacle beforehand, he's now trying to find the best entry point into this obstacle and speeding his way through that first transition. A very risky choice, but it looks like risk or what Famalam is going to try and do here as he's making his way through the 3rd obstacle and onto the 4th. This obstacle originated from Phoenix's Roblox Ninja Warrior, so Fam should be more than accustomed to it here. Got the mount pretty easily, but almost missed that 2nd transition, but he misses the 3rd! Fam goes down on the swinging forest, and that is surprising. His nerves may have increased after nearly missing that 2nd rope, and that's all it took for him to overshoot that 3rd rope and be eliminated. That'll do it for the Tournament 2 premiere of Robloxian SASUKE, and it was certainly a wild ride. Today, we saw the first 30 competitors go up against the first stage of the competition with all 7 daunting obstacles. We saw shocks, both good and bad, but all tried their best to reach the button at the top of the course. Only 3 of them were actually able to do so this time, the elite field currently consisting of only Misty Fun Girl 91, Lyrical Wonders, and Square Aswell 09. Those 3 have secured their spots in the 2nd stage, with many more to come as the day grows deeper. And next episode, 40 competitors will try their best to join them. Who can complete the course and make their mark on it, and who's going to do everything in their power trying. The 2nd wave of competitors this tournament is even stronger than the 1st and includes many of Roblox's best, including Sunnyside Splash, a notable Halo jumper who reached the final stage in Spartan Sasuke, Fragile is Agile, a longtime community veteran who hosts the competition Steel Castle, Icardis, one of the oldest active members and the former host of one of the longest running competitions, Ninja Bloxing Warrior, and Emolga Rex, better known as Bill V. Rex, a classic competitor and former host of Ninja Bloxer. These 4 and 36 others next episode. Until then, this is Jade Majorino signing off. We'll see you next time on Robloxian SASUKE.